David Shaw here with another off-the-record story. If you want to learn more about Washington, D.C., come visit my site, offtherecordtours.com. Let's go. Today I'm at Fort McNair in southwest Washington, D.C. It sits on a peninsula at the confluence of the Potomac River and Anacostia River. And it's the headquarters of the Military District of Washington and the site of the National Defense University. And this place has a storied past. It used to be called the Washington Arsenal, and at various times it was a federal penitentiary and a hospital. It's also the site of the trial and execution of the Lincoln conspirators. But it is also the place of one of the greatest tragedies to take place in Washington, D.C.'s history. It was a hot morning on June 17th, 1864. Here at the Arsenal, munitions were made for the Civil War. And 21 women, wearing the very constrictive clothing of the time, dresses with high collars and hoop skirts, were seated at a long table in what was called the choking room. Their job was to place gunpowder into very small paper cylinders, then place a lead bullet on top, and then choking it off with a series of small folds. This created cartridges for the small arms of the Union Army. Women were preferred for this work because of their slender fingers. It was thought they were better able to manipulate the cartridges than men. And it was vital work for the war effort. The women were young, mostly Irish immigrants and poor. Some of them headed their own households since their husbands were off to war. They had to take whatever job they could, regardless of the poor working conditions and the danger involved. No one was here by choice. Also that morning, Thomas Brown, the Arsenal superintendent, placed flares to dry in metal pans near the choking room. Brown was a fireworks expert and should have known better, because as the sun heated those pans, the flares ignited, sending sparks through the choking room's window and igniting the gunpowder. The scene was horrific. Some women leapt out the window to safety, but most died terrible deaths. 8 bodies were unidentifiable. The scene was strikingly similar to the fire in 1911 of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City. Except here, no one was disciplined, Brown did not lose his job, and no changes were made to the working conditions. Edwin Stanton, Secretary of the Department of War, sent the following order to the Arsenal's commander. The funeral and all the expenses incident to the internment of the sufferers by the recent catastrophe at the Arsenal will be paid by the department. You will not spare any means to express the respect and sympathy of the government for the deceased and their surviving friends. President Lincoln and Secretary Stanton are among the hundreds who line the route of the funeral procession and gather here at the cemetery for the burial of these women. Lincoln's presence is not lost on those there. It is the first funeral he's attended since he buried his own 11-year-old son, Willie. 15 of the women are buried here at Congressional Cemetery underneath this monument, which was funded through contributions by their fellow citizens. 2 others are buried here at Congressional in family plots, the remainder out in Mount Olivet Catholic Cemetery. The monument's topped by a sculpture done by the Irish artist Lot Flannery. It's simply entitled Grief. Well, I hope you enjoyed that off-the-record story. If you want to learn more about Washington, D.C., things seen and unseen, arrange your tour of your nation's capital at offtherecordtours.com. Until then, I'm David Shaw.